So I'll make a new project today. Day 4. Right. And just hold on. Right. And I'll create a new class over here, and I'll call it say Gmail. So we'll just do a simple example that we launch a browser and we'll take it to Gmail, and we will write something on the email ID field and all. Okay, right. So now, how does Selenium work? So this is the big major question over here. How do I identify stuff with Selenium? Okay, so that's the major aim today. So if I write the code over here, WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox driver. Okay, right, and I write over here. I'll have to add the jar files for Selenium in the project. Okay, just a minute. I'll add the jar file. Right, and I'll write over here driver dot get, go to the URL http um, just a minute. I sent a link to everyone. Just a minute. This guy is saying that. Right, you go to the website http gmail.com. Right. Now, after going to gmail.com, you need to write something in the text field or do something. So for that, you will have to understand that how Selenium works on the page source. Okay. Right. Suppose I go to, hold on, just a minute. Right. If I use Firebug, like if I'm on the Gmail field, right. If I use Firebug, right, and if I look at the email ID field, fine. This is the email ID field, right? And look, this email ID field has uh, it's got the tag name as input. Look, whatever starts with the conical bracket, okay, it is the tag name. Fine. A tag has got various attributes associated with it. Fine. It's an input field, right? The ID is email. Now, if you have an ID with an element, it becomes really easy to identify the element. Okay, right. Just a minute. I will give him the WebEx link to join in the class. Right. Just a minute. Let him join in. So, yeah. So if the element has got an ID, it becomes really easy for you to identify the element. Or if it has a name. Okay. So all you need to do is that you need to write over here that driver dot find element by the criteria. Okay, now what is this driver dot find element? If you look at the documentation of Selenium, if you go to the official website seleniumhq.org, right, and if you go to the Java docs, right, and if you look at the WebDriver interface, right, out here you will see that you will have a function known as find element. It finds the first web element using the given method. Yesterday I told you, right? Web element is something which is uh, which represents a generic HTML component, a generic element on the page. So find element function returns you a web element. Okay, and how do you find an element? You have to specify some criteria. The criteria is decided by the class named by. Okay, if you look at the by class, it's got the mechanisms to locate elements within a document. For example, by mechanism like ID, by the ID of the element, you can recognize the element link text, name, partial link text, XPath. Okay, I'll talk about XPath. Right. So there are various criteria with which you can identify the elements. Okay. So over here also we know that the ID of the email field is email. Right. One of the attributes is ID, which is very good if you have an ID. So you can write driver.find element by the criteria ID. So by inside by class, all the functions are static. So you can directly access them by the class name. Okay, by the ID email. So this will give you the web element email field, say. So this will return you the reference of web element. Driver.find element returns you the web element. Inside the email field, you need to type something or do something. So you can write email field dot send keys. Send keys is the function which can be used to type into a text field. Okay, right. So if I type in hello over here, you will see that when you run the code, you see that it launches Gmail and it types in hello inside the text field. Okay, right. Similarly, you can identify the text field on some other attribute like name. Name is also unique. Fine. So you can write over here, say driver.find element by the name. Okay, instead of ID, you can use the name attribute. The name of this field is, again, it is same email, right? So you can write by the name email and you will get the email field. And in the email field, you can go and type in, say anything. So I'll just write Selenium. Okay, so when you run this code, it will go on Gmail and it will say type hello Selenium. So hello came up from the first thing, the hello over here. and Selenium got appended because later on we found it by the name, so Selenium got appended. In case you want to clear the value of a text field, before writing into it, you can write email ID field dot. You will have a function known as clear. So this will clear the value of the text field. Okay, right? So this is how Selenium works. You can use ID to find the element or the name to find the element, right? And moreover, if you look at yesterday's code which I had made, Selenium Basics, in which I had optionally opened the browser. I told you, right? We can open the browser of our choice. We can initiate that driver and then we can move on to the website. If I copy this Selenium Basics into day 4, right, and if I write over here, we will move to say gmail.com, and after moving to gmail.com, I will write the command, the one which we used over here. We will extract the email ID field and type into Gmail. type hello inside it. So the browser is Mozilla out here. Okay, if I run it, this code will work on Mozilla. Right, it will go and type hello. Now if I change my browser to Chrome and if I run it, see Chrome opens and again it types hello inside Chrome as well. Okay, so the good thing is we can write the code, it will be applicable to all the browsers because the page source remains the same across all the browsers. In Chrome also the ID of the text field would be email. Okay, right, firstly. Secondly, driver.findElement. FindElement function will be there in all the driver classes because all the driver classes are implementing the WebDriver interface and WebDriver interface has got the find element function. Sorry. I'm sorry. Right. Now there's another thing. What if there are two elements on the field or on the page with the same ID email? Say right now there is just one text field with the ID email. What if there are two elements? Say one text field is there, which is this one. Okay. Apart from that, there is element over here as well as there is element over here. All the three elements have the ID email. So which one will Selenium use? Okay, now what Selenium does, when Selenium scans the page, it scans the page from top left to right side like this. And it comes down. Selenium scans the page like this. Okay, so if you have got elements with same IDs, right, Selenium will use the first element it encounters. So in our case, right, this element will be used. Okay, if you look at the documentation, right, look, first of all, there is no need for you to go to the Selenium website again and again and look at the documentation, right. All you can do is that, right, when you can import this documentation into Eclipse. Right, when you click on Java Docs, this is the URL which opens. You copy the URL, right, go to Eclipse, go to your project properties, and go to the jar files, right? Go to the main jar file, which is Selenium Java 2.x.jar, whatever it is, right? And go to javadoc location and edit it and put the location of the uh, javadoc URL, which is the Selenium, which is the link, which is the URL which comes up when you click on the link. And from this URL, remove index.html from the end. Do remove index.html. Click on validate. Location is likely valid. It's fine. Okay. Click on OK and click on OK. So now javadocs are imported to Eclipse. If I move my mouse over, say, Firefox driver, it will tell you what Firefox driver class is. Or if I write driver.findElement, okay, so if you click on or driver dot, if you get functions, if you click on any function, you will get the documentation of that function. Okay, if you click anywhere on the link or something, the link will make javadoc open inside Eclipse. You can switch over to the frames view. Okay, and javadocs will open inside Eclipse. So you don't have to go to Selenium website. Okay. Now if you look at the find element function, it says that this finds the first web element using the given method. Right. So this means that driver.findElement command will find the first web element on the page. Okay, so if there are multiple elements, so it will find the first one, scanning the page from the top left to the bottom right side. Okay, right. Now another thing, every time you will not find the ID of the element on the page. So what will you do at that time? Okay, right. For example, sign into. Is there anybody asking something?
Yeah, I have a question. So what if you want to find not the first element but the second element? Can you do it by rank? Like rank?
Yeah, I'll tell you how you can do it.
Okay.
As we proceed, I'm going to tell you. So now, first of all, every element cannot be having an ID. For example, if you look at this text on the top, sign in to continue to Gmail, right? And this has got no ID, nothing. So how will you identify this element? Right. So for that we have got something known as XPath. Right. What is an XPath? XPath is like the address. For example, every person has a name. With that name, that person is recognized. So every element on the XPath or on the web page, right, it will have a certain XPath that will recognize that element. Now, how is the XPath made? Okay, first of all, you should understand that, hold on, there are two types of XPaths. Okay, one is complete, or it's also known as absolute XPath, and other type of XPath is partial XPath. Okay, so how are they different and how they are made? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about complete or partial XPath. Now, suppose if I have to identify or extract this element from the page, one account, all of Google, if I identify it, then it's an H1 tag, but it's got no ID, nothing. no attribute rather. So to make the absolute XPath, we will traverse from the base element, which is the HTML tag. Okay, we will traverse from HTML tag to the H1 tag. We'll make the XPath. Okay, look, everything in a web page starts from the HTML tag. Then the elements they come up, right? So the complete XPath you write over here like this: HTML tag slash. That means inside the HTML tag there are two tags, head and body. We want to go inside the body tag because the H1 tag is present inside the body tag. Okay, so we will write HTML slash body. Inside the body tag there are many tags. I want to go inside the first division tag because inside the first division tag, if you traverse down, you have the H1 tag. So I'll write over here slash div. Okay, inside the first division tag, you have got three division tags parallel to each other. Okay, we are interested in the second one because the second one ultimately holds the H1 tag. So we don't want to go inside the first or the third, we want to go inside the second one. Okay, so we'll write over here slash div 2. Okay, this means that go inside the second division out of the three divisions. Okay, now inside the second division, you have two divisions. I want to go inside the first division because H1 tag is inside the first division. Right, inside this second division, you have got two parallel divisions. Okay, I want to go inside this one, the first one. So I'll write over here slash div 1, and inside it you have the H1 tag. Right? Fine. So this is how you make the complete XPath. It's not necessary to write div 1 over here. Even if you don't write 1, by default it takes 1. By default it takes 1, even if you don't specify 1 over here. Sorry. So if I take this XPath and if I go to my code and I write over here web element heading equals to driver dot find element, you will get a locator over here by the XPath. You can give this XPath, you will get the heading. Now what do you want to do with the heading? I want to print the text of the heading. So you write over here heading dot get text. Get text function in the web element gets the text of the element. If I run this code, it works in Mozilla in Chrome. Sorry. And see, it prints the text. Although we investigated the page in Mozilla, we found the XPath in Mozilla. It started working on Chrome as well because the underlying page source is the same. Alright, so this is how you calculate your complete XPath. But you don't have to do it manually every time. Okay, what you can do is, you can, hold on. Just a minute. What you can do is, you can go to the site You can go to Google and type Firebug Firepath. Yesterday I asked you to install Firebug, right? So you can install Firepath today. Firepath is an add-on on top of Firebug. You need to have Firebug installed. If you install Firepath, Firepath will help you calculate the XPaths automatically. You don't have to calculate them manually the way I did. Okay, so you go to the first link, click on Add to Firefox. Firepath will get added. Right. In your Firebug, you will be able sorry, you will be able to see a Firepath option. A tab known as Firepath will come up. Okay, this one. Right. Okay. So in this, you go and select Generate Absolute XPath. That means I want the complete XPath. You select this, and when you move your mouse over everything, it will give you the complete XPath of that element. Okay. Now, if you look at the complete XPath, this is the way it is made. Now, we don't prefer using complete XPaths. Okay, we don't entertain complete or absolute XPaths. The reason for that is, like, suppose if something changes in the application tomorrow, and it changes at the very root level, say at this level, immediately after the body tag, you introduce something new. Okay, you introduce some tag or something new in between. So all the XPaths will go for a toss. You will have to recalculate all of them. Okay, this is the disadvantage. The advantage is that this kind of XPath is very accurate. It starts from the base of the document. It starts from the HTML base and goes till the element. So we don't prefer to use them. In case the element is not, we are not able to find the element anyways, we try to use the complete XPath, right? Under the under the dire circumstances where nothing's working, right? What we generally prefer is a partial XPath. Okay, partial XPath starts from double slash. It always starts from a double slash. Okay, for example, if I write double slash star, double slash star means all the elements on the web page. So this partial XPath, in a way, it represents all the elements, the links, the buttons, everything on the web page. Okay, if you hold on. If you uncheck the option Generate Absolute XPath, and if you look at, say, the email ID field, okay, this is your email ID field. This is the XPath. Okay, right. An element whose ID is email. Fine. Double slash star, it starts with this. That means all elements on the web page. And out of all the elements on the web page, get me the element whose ID is email. So you are filtering over here. After writing double slash star, you are filtering. Or to be more precise, you can write over here. Look, the tag name of the input field is input. Right? Okay. So you can write the tag name. You can write double slash. There is a input tag. So this part, over here the highlighted one recognizes, or it says that out of this part represents all the input tags on the page. So out of all the input tags on the page, get the tag with the ID email. Okay, right. Now, if you say go to any web page, say if you go to this web page, just a minute, or if I move over to the website yahoo.com, you will see that, just a minute, if I look at the link over here, for example, the link online shirts. Okay, right. It's got this XPath. Now, how is this partial XPath made? Right. If you look at it, it's made like this. First of all, this is a link. This is a link, but this link has got no ID. So what Fireball path does is, it jumps over to the li tag. Okay, this is the anchor tag. Okay, it's not got the ID, so it jumps over to the li tag. This is the li tag. You can map it over here. This is the fifth li tag under the ol tag. So this li tag has also got no ID, so it goes above to the ol tag. You can find the ol tag over here. And ol tag has got no ID, so it goes to this div tag which has got the ID. So it starts the XPath from this div tag. /* out of all the elements on the page, get me the element with the ID TN trending. So it will find, basically it will find this div tag. Under that there is a ol tag, under that there is a fifth li tag, and under that there is a link. So Firepath gives you a partial XPath based on the ID. It keeps on traversing up till the time it finds an element with the ID and starts building the partial XPath from that element, rather than building the complete XPath from the very root of the document. Okay, right. In case of Gmail, the text field itself has an ID, so the XPath is restricted here. If you look at the partial XPath of this text over here, one account all of Google, it doesn't give you a partial XPath. It gives you the complete XPath only, because between h1 tag and the HTML tag, the starting tag, okay, between these two tags, there is no element with an ID. So Firebug keeps on traversing up, and it finds nothing. So by default, it gives you the complete XPath. Okay, right. So in this code over here, instead of finding the element by the ID, you can write find the element by the XPath, and you can specify this XPath. You can specify this one, you can specify this one, any one you can specify. Okay, so when you run this code, you see that it works. In Chrome also, you can find the XPaths. You can right click on the element, I told you yesterday, right? You can inspect the element. The element will be highlighted on the panel which comes up. If I right click on this element, I will get the option to copy the XPath of this element in Chrome. So I can copy the XPath and I can paste it over here. Only thing is, instead of double quotes, you have to put the single quote. But you can get the XPath from Mozilla. Okay. And you can use it anywhere. There is no generalized formula to get the XPath. You have to practice. And that's what we will be doing in this class. After day 6 or day 7, I will start giving you practice exercises every day. So this will help you. Okay. Right. So this is how the partial XPaths they work. The complete XPaths they work. Okay. Right. Now, moving ahead, out here you have somebody is asking something, right? I think somebody was trying to ask something. Okay, no problem. Guys, please keep your microphones on mute. Right. So if the ID is not found in case of Firebug, you will get the complete XPath by Firebug. Right. So is there anybody with any question on XPaths? On the XPaths, the way I found them?
I have one.
Yeah, tell me.
So, like here we are saying that this I think it would work when we have a ID with email single property of ID which is having the value as email.
Yes.
So as in the first in the start only you had mentioned that if there are multiple IDs having the value as email, how
multiple elements having the same ID. Yes.
Yes. So ID is having there are multiple objects which are having the ID as email.
Yeah. Suppose there are 2 objects on the page.
And I need to find capture the second ID.
Yes. In that case, you have to extract all the elements on the web page, put them in a list, and then get the second one out of the list. I'll talk about that as I proceed with the course.
Okay.
Okay, you have to extract all of them. Suppose you want to extract all the links from the web page and count the total number of links on the web page. So stuff like that can be done. Okay. Now, right. So the partial XPath.
Ashish, sorry to interrupt. Is there a chance that we can use any other property instead of ID? If let's say ID is same.
You can use. I will come over to that. I will come over to that. There are number of ways in which you can build the XPaths.
Okay.
Right. So basically, if you go by XPath from Firebug, right. So you will see that. Just a minute. Like I talked about, say if I go to any trending link over here, right, you will see that the XPath, in order to make the XPath based on ID, Firebug will keep on traversing above. It will find the div with this ID and then it will traverse down. In case it is not able to find any element with an ID, it will keep on traversing up. And in case nothing is found, it will make the complete XPath. Right. You can also get XPaths from Chrome. You can right click and go and copy the XPath. Now one thing is there, guys, when you work with Selenium, if I go to my task manager and if I look at my processes, you will have all these Chrome driver.exes running. Every time you run your Chrome browser, this exe gets started. And at times what happens is that There are so many exes which, because when you make the code, you run the code again and again, and many Chrome driver exes, they become operational. Even if you close Chrome browser, this exe will keep on running. For example, if I run the code now, you will see that in the task manager, see that this Chrome browser.chrome driver.exe is running. Even if I manually close Chrome, this exe will not close. So it actually ends up consuming a lot of memory at times, because if you run your program 10 times, 10 of these exes would be running. So it's always a good practice that in the end you use the function driver.quit and close everything. So this quit will close the Chrome driver exe. Okay, this is just a small thing, but it's very important. Right. Fine. So the next thing in our agenda is profiling of Firefox and constructors, and I will talk about XPaths in detail. Okay, and how do you manually calculate the XPaths without Firepath and all that stuff. Okay, right. Now I want to take up this web element interface in little detail. Okay, this web element interface, it represents a generic HTML component. And when you write driver.findElement by any criteria, okay, it returns you the web element reference. Okay, and there are many functions in it. These functions we will be using time by time as we proceed, right? For example, click, like we found, we use right now, we use the clear function. And there are many other functions as well. Get text will get the visible text from the element. Okay, is selected. Suppose there is a checkbox. We extract the web element corresponding to checkbox. We want to see whether it is selected or not. Is displayed means whether it is visible to the human eye. Now, is displayed function, I will talk about it in detail with a practical example, but theoretically, this does not mean that whether the element is present or not. Is displayed function assumes that the element is already present. For example, on many websites, right? Suppose if I click on this forward arrow, more elements will come up. Those elements were hidden on the page. They were present on the page, but they are hidden. Okay, right? So if I keep on scrolling forward, those elements will keep on coming up. Okay, right? Those elements will no longer remain hidden. So is displayed function tells you whether the element is hidden on the page or not. It assumes that it is already present. Okay, is displayed will not tell you whether it is present or not. It will tell you whether it is hidden or not. Okay, it will return you a boolean type, true if in case it is visible and false in case if it is not visible. Okay, so anybody with any questions? Right, I'll stop here. Okay, actually I think today